Okay, so I ended up watching Tenet. Sat through the whole thing. Thought I was really gonna like it. Then the middle came. Then, oh my god. So, the overwhelming thing that really stuck out to me, my number one complaint, and I hate to be like this, but I have to tell the truth. Okay, Kenneth Branagh in his outrageous Russian accent. um, I don't like Kenneth Branagh. I don't think he's a bad man. I'm sure he's a very nice man. However, I've been aware of him for, I don't know, 30 years, more than that. He was the start. I was like, okay, whatever. Emma Thompson's husband. Not that one, because Emma Thompson's husband, the other Emma Thompson's husband made this movie. But, they, he was, around. And then they were in some movie together. And then he did Hamlet, which I didn't watch most of it. Or I tried to, but it was long. But I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And right away, he seemed like he was very high on himself. And he's not bad as a director, but I think he overestimates his acting ability. Okay, so I didn't think anything of it. I was like, whatever, that guy's there. And then we all read the Harry Potter books. We all had an image of Gilderoy Lockhart in our heads. I was an adult when I read the Harry Potter books, so. But I was like, that's Hugh Grant. There's no way that's not Hugh Grant. And then they cast the movie, and they're like, Kenneth Branagh. I'm like, you serious? He, he's nothing like this character. And I know actors are actors, but seriously. So he stunk up that movie, and I was like, I just sat there the whole time, just pissed off that he wasn't Hugh Grant, because there's no way Hugh Grant would have screwed it up. But whatever. So I ignored it because, I was like, but that was the beginning of me being like, this guy, I don't know why they hire him, because he's not that great. And sometimes he's miscast. A lot of times he's miscast. He's probably, when they make a movie about Kenneth Branagh, that's when you cast him. But, I'm forgetting again the Christopher Nolan movie that he was in, and I was like, God, no. The one I didn't like. Wait a minute, I'm gonna look that up because I'm not doing this again. I did it the whole movie. I knew it was the name of the place. For the life of me, I could not come up with Dunkirk. I was trying to think of everything. I was like, I know it's not Normandy because that's the other thing. And this was like, they were just at the beach, and it was the worst day at the beach ever, and it had Harry Styles. I could not, for the life of me, remember the title of that movie. The only thing I liked in Dunkirk was Harry Styles, which is weird because I knew he was from that kid group. I didn't know he was supposed to be an actor, but he was great in it. And Cillian Murphy. That was it. I mean, I love Tom Hardy, but he just covered his face because Christopher Nolan loves to cover up Tom Hardy's lips because he doesn't want to kiss him, I think. But he just was wearing a mask, sitting in the cockpit, and then he's like, I surrender now. That movie just, oh my god. I was like, what was the point of this? This is like British people being tough and hard men. They're just stuck at the beach all day. Not screwing up left and right and being like, alright, I surrender. Anyways, so that movie stunk and I didn't like it. And I had considered myself a Christopher Nolan fan. I had recently said he's one of my favorite directors, which I have a very short list. I had the same three favorite movie directors for a very long time until I just recently included younger people. So it was Woody Allen, Francis Ford Coppola, David Lynch. For years, those were the only three I said. Then I opened it up to Quentin Tarantino. And I said, you know what, I do love Brian De Palma because I ended up liking his stuff from watching it later on, not as they were released. And then, so it was like I had those five. Then I kind of had Christopher Nolan and M. Night Shyamalan. I was like keeping them off to the side. Let me see. And then M. Night Shyamalan came along with Split, and then, oh my god, This is what old age is. You can remember everything from when you're a kid, but then Split and you know what it is. And then Christopher Nolan had Interstellar, and to me, Interstellar put him over. You know, okay, I'm including him as my favorite director, so that's it. That's all I have down as favorite directors. Like I could see what the Russo brothers do someday, maybe. Who knows? My favorite movie of all time was directed by Peter Jackson, but outside of Lord of the Rings, I did not like King Kong. I didn't like his old horror movie stuff, so I'm still waiting. But otherwise, that's it, you know. So then I saw Dunkirk, and I'm like, ugh. And I'm trying to think what was the difference, you know. And I said, I don't think Jonathan Nolan wrote that. And I'm like, is Jonathan Nolan more important than I thought? Because, you know, way back in the day when they were casting The Dark Knight, we all had ideas for the Joker. And I know that in my mind, I had said, honestly, Joaquin Phoenix at the time. And the other one I had in mind was Vince Cassell, right? And, you know, all of us on the internet were saying all kinds of people. Then they say Heath Ledger, and we're all like, what? Every single person was like, what? Heath Ledger? What? We all thought he was crazy. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to ruin Batman. Jeez. And then after it was such an amazing success and Heath was so perfect in the role, that's when people started saying, in Nolan we trust, because we all were like, you know, we can't, we were wrong. We were all wrong. Every single one of us. So that was what we said. So anytime he did something, I mean, we didn't know what was going on, like, in Nolan we trust, right? Okay, so Dunkirk, I didn't like it at all. I saw it in the theater. I gave it another chance when it was, you know, on Blu-ray or whatever, and it was just like, no, this movie's stupid. I don't like it. So it was uninteresting in a way, you know. Which, how do you do that? That should have been perilous and heart pounding, and it was just like, So like I said, I thought to myself, what's changed? And I said, maybe it's Jonathan Nolan. Maybe we were giving Christopher Nolan all the credit, but in reality, it really was both brothers. So I'm watching Tenet, and at first I liked it. I liked where it was going. I liked the idea. I was understanding it perfectly fine. I like time travel stuff. I like things that, oh yeah, so basically I should have said spoilers from the beginning. I like time bending, time things like that. So it's like, okay, you know, I understand all this. Good, you know. And then my first issue that I knew was going to be an issue is I have a problem with nepotism in Hollywood, because maybe once in a generation you get a Liza Minnelli, or maybe once in a lifetime you get a Liza Minnelli, where you have the offspring of a huge star is very nearly as talented as that star. Okay, there are kids who there are acting families where there's some people who are good and stuff like that, and some people are passable and everything, and that's fine. But what's happened in the last 10 years or so is that you have a lot of people who, you know, they're somebody's kid, they don't hide it, and when you watch them, you're like, yeah, if they weren't related to somebody, they wouldn't be here, because where's the talent? I don't see it. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of them, their whole demeanor is that of a spoiled kid who probably just sat around and wasn't impressed with anything. They have very meh personalities, and I'm tired of it, because it's like you almost can't watch anything without seeing somebody's kid, you know. And it's like Bryce Dallas Howard, when she first came along, she was good in she made sense for Lady in the Water, because she looks mystical and fantastical and fairy like, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean she's a great actress. And when she starts showing up in everything, you're just like, I don't mix her up with Jessica Chastain because somebody's a really good actress. Um, you have people like Zoe Kravitz. She just looks bored out of her mind. She looks like she's just watching paint dry. I don't. People like her. I don't know. Maybe she has a very nice personality. Maybe she's very nice on her social medias, and people like her because they like her as a person. But when I started seeing her and things, I was like, no. Um, there's so many. There's the Wyatt Russells and the you just see them and you're like, why are they there? And before you know their name, you're like, why is this person starring in something? Why does this person have a big role? They don't have star quality, and that's what I'm saying. These people show up. They could probably show up on time. They probably memorize their lines, but in order to make it in movies or TV or whatever, what's supposed to carry you through is star quality. There's always those people who get there some other way, but in order to succeed, they have to have star quality. That is something that is now, it doesn't seem like it's important because somehow these people, they're starring in things. And a lot of times these things have fans. So maybe I'm just picky because I go back, I watch old movies, from the 30s, 40s, 50s. I like real movies where people really they had to be chosen. The studio had to say, that guy's got it, that girl's got it, they've got talent, and they had to have fans, and they had to have that thing. And then I watched all the important movies from the 70s and stuff like that, where you got those actors who all went to Stella Adler and studied under Lee Strasberg, and all these people who were like, we're actors, don't try to interview us on a talk show, we're too serious for that. So I spent years watching movies with actors who want to act and want to do well and who studied and did not grow up in the lap of luxury, just having an actor parent or a producer parent or somebody who's just like, oh, you don't have a care in the world because you're all set growing up in Hollywood. That's what these people are now. I keep forgetting his name. Anyway, John David Washington. I had seen him on Ballers. At first, I didn't know he was Denzel's kid, but it was fine because he had that side role and nothing important. Fine, whatever. He goes from Ballers. Next thing, he's starring in Black Klansman, and I'm like, okay. I go and I watch the movie again. Bland, like acting matzah, like very just milk toast, boring, monotone. And I'm like, I know Spike Lee probably is very good friends with Denzel Washington. Maybe he used to babysit this kid. I don't know. But why? And the worst part is, in the middle of this movie, I was just getting just being like, oh, this guy, he's just, I don't, it was so bad watching him next to Robert Pattinson, who, I'm sorry, your attention, no matter what, I mean, you just went to him. And I'm not one of these RPATS kids, he's way younger than me. I didn't watch those sparkly vampire movies, but I think he's a good actor. He's been in a lot of good movies. I mean, last year, the year before, Lighthouse, that was he was great in that. He's been great in other movies like Good Time, that Cronenberg movie, I forget the name of it now, but he's done real acting and he has presence, and there's a reason why he has all those fans, but also he's a good actor. Now, John David Washington was cast in Tenet. I don't know why. I don't know if nobody else was available, but at one point in the movie, I was complaining about why can't this be Denzel Washington instead? And then right after I thought that, I thought of who would have been perfect, and I'm like, I felt so bad because Chadwick Boseman crossed my mind, and I was like, if Chadwick Boseman was standing there next to Robert Pattinson, I'd be looking at Chadwick Boseman. I'd be paying attention to what he was doing. He'd be selling me this, and I just started to feel really bad, and I was like, that's lousy, But this guy, he's really not entertaining, not charismatic. And then the story itself had him trying to be a rube. Like they needed him to be a rube to fall for everything that they needed him to fall for. But he was so much of a rube that I'm like, all right, who wrote this? Because this is stupid now. He can't be smart enough to be in the CIA or whatever and not understand this. So then the story starts going where they're kicking their own ass, and and I'm sitting there and I'm complaining, and I'm like, why can't he be Denzel Washington? I'm thinking about Chadwick Boseman. All of a sudden Kenneth Branagh shows up, and I'm like, no, 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 please. Why? Because I was already bored out of my gourd because of now we've got Kenneth Branagh who stunk up Dunkirk, and it's like, I don't know what Christopher Nolan's on. Please, Michael Caine's in this movie for half a second. He was looking a little bit weak, and I'm like, oh no, please don't let Christopher Nolan change Michael Caine for Kenneth Branagh, because oh my god. Now, what was the Kenneth Branagh he did? The Agatha Christie movie. It was directed well. He wasn't even bad in it in that one. But he should direct movies, because he's good at that part. The train one with Michelle Pfeiffer was in it, and Johnny Depp and everybody. That was good, because he directed it. We don't need him acting though, but he wasn't even that bad acting in that. Okay, but still, he's a Russian. He's doing a Russian accent the whole movie. He don't look Russian. He doesn't sound Russian. So what the hell was the point of all that? There were no Russian actors available. Nobody who even saw somebody else do a Russian accent before. And I'm just sitting there going, so I got to deal with boring number one, boring number two, and the movie's starting to be convoluted. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so if I'm going to look at the end of this, and if Jonathan Nolan's name's not on it, I'm going to find out what the missing link is in these two Christopher Nolan movies that I'm kind of not liking now. After a while, the story started to kick back in, and we started to get back, after we went through all that Kenneth Branagh crap on that highway, the story started to kick back in, and you're trying to figure out, but then it was just like, you get to the end, and it's like, they crapped it out somehow, because it was going alright with the plot, and the going backwards, and I was like, the whole time though, it was so obvious. I'm like, there's no way Elizabeth Debicki is not in charge of this thing. There's no way she's not, because they had her kind of playing like just the dumb female for a minute. It kind of looked like one of those characters where she's just there to get shot and be sad. And I think they meant for there to be some kind of, if not attraction, some kind of emotional involvement situation with her and Washington there. There was no chemistry. There was no nothing. It was like, why do we care what happened? There was a scene where they're going down the highway and they're trying to, maybe they're gonna fall. He's gonna fall out of the car, and maybe she's gonna fall out of the car. I'm like, I don't care if they fall out of the car. Go ahead. Where's the suspense? Drop them. I don't care. Because who cares? These people are boring. I don't understand why I'm supposed to care about them. This time thing is not that interesting. They had a good premise, and they screwed it up. And I'm just like, I know it's not about plutonium. It was just like all these things that were supposed to be, red herrings. They weren't red and they weren't herrings. It was just like, obviously this is not what it really is, and you're going to tell us later. So I'll just wait until you're like halfway through for you to do all the shenanigans so that it's plutonium. And it was just like, I was at the point when you come to find out what the real point is, it's like your villain wasn't villainy enough. And I kind of think that's what's really wrong with him. He might be a really nice man. And they cast him as Gilderoy Lockhart, who's supposed to be a pompous ass. They cast him as this Russian guy who's supposed to be a hard ass. They cast him as, I don't know what you call people, like the different rankings of, like, not general, but when you're like Navy people, whatever the hell he was supposed to be. He's not a hard man. He's not a tough man. He might be a very nice man. Like, he should probably babysit kittens, right? So you cast him in these roles, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'm not buying any of this. So it's missing Jonathan Nolan, which I think is a crucial element now in our love of Christopher Nolan's movies. Um, there was no love in this, because love is the thing, and maybe that, I always thought it was Christopher Nolan, but maybe it's Jonathan Nolan that brings the whole love element, because everything else was about, Inception is really about love, and Interstellar is about love. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, if there was supposed to be something between those two, it wasn't there. There was nothing between Debicki and Branagh, right? I mean, it looked like Robert Pattinson's suits loved him, but otherwise, it was like I wasn't falling for the idea that, like, John David Washington was supposed to be acting like he was in charge. It was clear that he wasn't in charge. From the beginning, it was clear that they were all more aware of what was going on than him. And I was like, this is so dumb. Doesn't make sense. And then in the end, it's supposed to be that he's in charge. Are you kidding me? I was like, no, sorry. And oh, I don't know, just like most of the movie's over with, and then they're like in somewhere where they have, like, the what do you call it? Those lights when it's like the red lights when it's dark. And I'm like, is that Aaron Taylor Johnson? I was like, that can't be Aaron Taylor Johnson showing up at the end of this movie. Yes, it is. I'm like, okay, so you got real actors with charisma, and you've been wasting my time. But you know what I mean? Because in a way, Robert Pattinson may have, I don't know screen time exactly or number of lines, but he was kind of gone for a long time. There was a lot of Kenneth Branagh, way too much, and of course there was a lot of John David Washington. And it's just like, you had charisma, and you kept it to the side, or you cast it in a very small supporting role. It almost seemed like this was supposed to be a TV series. The slowness of it, like they were setting up something to go on a lot longer. But it was unfulfilling. It was uninteresting. It was worse than Dunkirk. It had so many points that could have been really good. It was like a waste. It was like, why are we having Christopher Nolan direct scenes that looked good, the helicopter type things and all the stuff he does with the, like, the underground type, what do I want to call it, like parking garage type looking places, like in The Dark Knight, that parking garage. Why have all these cool looking scenes that wasn't the whole movie, but some of them, and waste it on this and these people? And it was really disappointing. And I'm like, thank God I didn't go risk COVID to sit in a movie theater for 3 hours with a stupid mask on, which I was not going to do that anyway. But this movie wasn't worth it. He gotta fix whatever's wrong. If it means he gotta wait for his brother to finish all his projects to help him out, I don't know. But Tenet stunk. It was like, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. The way I do movies is almost like, how you grade homework, or not homework, test paper. So 10 out of 10 would be 100, 9 out of 10 would be a 90. So A, B, C, D. So 6 out of 10 is basically a D minus. You know what I mean? I don't. I could have done without it, and it's really sad to say that about a Christopher Nolan movie. But there it is. You know, I try to do reaction. I am not. The universe, as I said, does not want me doing reactions, but it was funny. Um, I probably the audio came out fine. It was just the video was sticky, so I guess my computer's too crappy as the laptop. So I I when I give it a 6 out of 10, that's not a recommendation. It's not go see it either. It's like decide for yourself. A 5 out of 5 for me means it's up to you. A 6 kind of means go see it if you want. Decide for yourself. You know, 7 means it's good. So 6 means it's not good. And I'm sorry to say that. So that's my review of Tenet. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the thing falling out of my head. That's why I don't even bother. And I let my hair be frizzy or whatever because it's never going to fix. But hopefully, if movies continue into the future, if there's movie theaters again, which it probably won't be, but whatever comes along, when Christopher Nolan does things in the future, I hope he rights the ship and he stops this boringness. And please don't cast any sons and daughters of people. Don't cast whoever everybody else is casting and everything else. Cast the cool people. You used to know how to pick them out of a crowd. Okay? No more Hollywood kids. Please.